ghost, pure, Dutch. Such a range of ways we have to grade the shades called white. Now, fun fact, I am white. You could even say very white for originally red-haired. My skin is fairer than most, and hailing from Scotland, that pasty wee neighbour of lauded Great Britain, I wear this Celtic curse of pale. Meanwhile, in a style unashamedly Western, my veins ebb too with American blood. Thus, two superpowers meet here in my body to form their mix of pale and privilege. Even when basted in sun rays, my skin rarely tans. No, instead it stays true to its fairness, as though it can't bear to betray its heritage of smallest numbers, biggest egos, filthy history, cleanest slate though. But even so, I see that I'm lucky, for I've really done nothing, for I'm just a result of blind birthplace luck. That means I come from this place of white privilege, I speak from this place of white privilege, and so I wrote a show all about race. Please don't go, you have already paid. Instead, wait, and give time to my reliable insight. For you'll find I am well cultured, I am well travelled, all because I so unusually went backpacking after university. One and a half years travelling, busking, streets music performing, my partner and I were a musical triumph. Unleashed from our studies, fresh-faced and bright-eyed, we kept our silken homespun ties tight round our wrists for interim bungee distance from home, yet for that time, fully embracing the lone nomad state. We called our band Wonderful Exile, a name we changed mid-travel to fulfill our whimsical fantasies of a new identity. See, it was all very romantic, captured in the tragedy of nomadism. We had ourselves runaways, outcast from society, penniless wanderers, renegade warriors, no one to run to, no home to turn to, exiled and spurned with no place to return to. Not entirely true. Standing by the side of the road, cold fingers turn numb from holding this piece of wind-tattered cardboard so long. My plans at the mercy of this handcrafted signage of hope, so kindly asking for transport to Frankfurt, to Paris, Geneva, or even this time just 20 miles down the street for a fresh try at this. I never liked hitching a lift, it feels degrading. I'd much rather pay the extra for a better way to get there, but it's good to be authentic, I tell myself. Keep it rough, keep it tough, love the vagabond vibes. Get my rights, keep passing and passing with gazes averted. My backpack is hurting my shoulders. I have not eaten for hours, I am in need of a shower. And though it's clear no one's stopping, cause well, we've too much to carry, it allows me to wallow in my fantasy of banishment, put the day down to character enhancement, exaggerate a sob story adequate to guarantee a top-performing post on my top-performing blog. It all kind of worked out as I wanted. Now, Wonderful Exile, it was our meditated, covered basis name of adventure. Come melancholy, danger, come safety. The vibrant migrant turned, well, Instagram pretty. Didn't make me feel discomfort at the time, too consumed in the glamour of diaspora. And how I basked in the fantasy of self-imposed exile, of temporary exile, of wonderful exile, of come home whenever you choose kind of exile. Obviously that hypocrisy was lost on me. Now my phone's vibration declares some message from home, a reminder that I am by no means alone, and though I'm shorter in euros than I'd like to be, The emergency credit card awarded by my family is guarantee that I will never go hungry nor homeless, and though this life on the road had its moments of lonesome, there really never was a time I did not feel welcome, no. Rather than displaced, every place offered itself as a new abode for my taking. Gifted long-term stay in Berlin, Amsterdam, Montpellier, it became an effort to stay away from a home base. So cradled in the strong, muscled arms of my passport, I passed through countries without a second glance. Borders melted in the distance, oblivious to privilege. I thought, surely everyone must live like this. Not entirely true. Because there was that one time on the French border when passport control held up our bus for almost 2 hours while the one black passenger was questioned and questioned and questioned in a small sealed room. While staff apologised profusely and profusely and profusely and offered the rest of us unlimited coffee and croissants for our trouble. British conformist mindset kicked in, kept us quiet and reminded that it does not pay to be different. Even that, not entirely true. Because different, it sells. Different is sexy. Different is celebrated. Different is business. Different is Scottish, not British. Different is vegan, not veggie. Different is the sole female busker on a street full of men. Different is the sole ukulele on a street of guitars. Different finds a niche role to keep the pennies rolling, to keep the travel happening, to keep the people buying. Different demands to stand out. It takes every label, it takes every box, it collects every category and makes itself a blog, unveiling itself. As a Scottish female vegan digital nomad low budget travel voyaging musician, nobody can match it. And everybody loves it. Different loves to be loved, and different knows what is loved. So different teases with its passport, flirts with its accents, hints at its education to show it is legitimate. Different pairs spontaneity with its stability, making clear that though different, still is safe. Because different knows there are limits to difference. Different knows it can only be so different, so it keeps quiet when it needs to, speaks up when required to, and overall knows it must only go so far. And just like that, different goes hard. Different notices others only to judge them, has no scruples when it comes to attention. Different prioritizes self-preservation, develops tunnel vision, so different can stay different at expense of all else. And different stays on trend, so that different can sell, so that different is sexy, different is celebrated, different is business, different is exotic, different is exciting, different is enticing. All when the right kind of different. But luckily, I was the right kind of different. And I was the good kind of right different, and I was the most kind of good right different. Because I stood out from my peers. You see, this travel, it was no holiday, no gap year, no trust fund backed exploit. This was real life. Months passed. I kept going, kept earning. It was no gift. I worked hard for the way I was living. I deserved it. Because I played music for hours in sweltering heat or snow-covered streets, rehearsed daily, unfailingly. I was diligent, I was disciplined, I networked where necessary, cut back when need be, moved my way through Europe with no help from nobody. Also not entirely true. Because there was that time I lost my passport, but was let on the plane anyway. There was that time I couldn't actually afford a place to stay, but turned on the waterworks, offered to play a few songs, and I got my way. There was that time my partner had a penknife in his pocket as we crossed into Spain, and security turned a blind eye while I watched others be detained. There was that time, nay, there was many times, I was giving gigs over the local band so that audiences could watch a lovely British girl on stage, and that was the money that paid my way. Perhaps they were subtle encouragements. platform priorities, invisible privileges unfairly given, but it was to niceness, not whiteness. I'm aware this reasoning is somewhat flawed. There's a sense of discomfort I can't quite interpret, a discrepancy lingering, suggesting unfair division, but what can I do? I didn't ask for it. When I go home, there'll be no more need to be different. Not entirely true. For us? For you?
What?
Come on. This is a look.
And the...
Both. So I stand up so we all can see you. See, I come home and I find that everybody wants to be a hipster. I come home from a broad difference taking over and I kind of adore it. The bearded baristas, the hashtag heroes, the craft beer, the matcha, the smashed avocados, the tattoos, the typewriters, gluten-free dieters, Instagram worshippers. Everybody wants to be a hipster. I come home, difference taken over, time for my go at breaking this mold. I dye my hair, I get the piercings, I start writing poetry, learn how to tarot read, know which wine is which and which coffee to ditch, and I think I could get used to living like this. Everybody wants to be the most hipster. I come home, difference taken over and grown addictive. Like whose beard is the longest, whose man bun the tightest, who's the best read, knows their Hamlet from Titus, don't know what the goal is, but we're all chasing it, up in the craze and the craze and the craze, and it's all competition, postmodern ambition, kind of all a distraction, isn't it? Because clearly something is missing amidst it. We inflate the gravity of this dress-up game. We engage the safe space to exercise difference, to learn to talk, recite and proffer, but not to offer any real substance. Seems unconstructive, seems overindulgent, seems underwhelming, seems empty-headed, seems... Where is the empathy? When we resort to trending hashtags to mitigate apathy. Seems appearance may have superseded moral integrity. But you know, whatever. If that's how it is, that's how it is. And I'm content with how it is, and I don't resent just how it is, and I will get on with how it is. Not entirely true. Because I do love a beard and espresso as much as the next millennial, but it's all existing in parallel with, well, everything else. I'm finding there's a lot of skeletons in my closet as I watch the relics of my travels, the pen knights, the passports, the free gigs, the blind eyes build up and up and up and see abroad. I could pretend life was a bubble, was trouble-free. It was easy to bowl along unprivileged, play up the ignorance, be the tourist when I wanted to, needed to. There was enough going on to keep me from the up points. And I could switch off the news, use the excuse of foreign papers and limited Wi-Fi and see nothing but blue skies and open sea for me, but now that I'm home, the illusion evaporates, distractions diminish, and I find that I cannot switch off from this. Touchdown in Glasgow. I have so missed this city. famed for our rain, our drinks, and our sense of community. Our motto is people make Glasgow. Helen and Amal feed the birds in Queen's Park every morning. Helen is 80, Amal in her 30s. I see them on my way to work. Helen hands bread to Amal, who ventures down to the water's edge. Sometimes the ducks take it straight from her hands on a good day. Helen likes to buy whole wheat, but Amal, she prefers Morrison's morning rolls. When one duck steals another's bread, she points and calls it, "Ya wee bastard." Amal has stayed with Helen for the past year and is treated like the daughter Helen never had. Helen is fiercely protective of Amal's privacy and respects that Amal prefers to go out first thing in the morning, almost before the day wakes. See, she seems afraid of her Muslim identity and the world come to see her as enemy. In a world that centres on terror. Because I step off the plane and into a world of terror. It's on everyone's lips, on every front cover. Perpetrators are taking the places of A-list tabloid shaming, but while the fear of it dominates, it kind of seems reactions fluctuate and revised definitions isolate. Because you think terror is terror, it's in the name, it's terrifying. Dictionaries describe it as violence or the threat of violence. It is generic, prevalent and tireless. Terror is terror, ungendered, uncoloured, yet we see its severity rendered subjective. To demonstrate, when ISIS hit Paris, it was a travesty. Facebook came out with its checkpoints of safety. Friends turned their photos to treacle our memory, yet only the day previous, Beirut had experienced its worst hit in decades, just like Paris. Claimed by the same, both city outsiders, but we grieve for the French and get Lebanon silenced, which is no anomaly. Because we all cried for Nice, but not Bangladesh. Kept quiet on Baghdad to glorify Manchester. Favoured to Vegas over Mogadishu. The issue seen here is their date proximities, with the incidents mere days apart. But still the conflict goes further, as we unearth hashtags to pomp and parade, no longer celeb-based, but now stately placed as icons of the irony that fake computer prayer is used in the face of religion we fear. Hashtag pray for. Those words, so unsettling, for their presence brings the silence of hashtag ignore. Did you know that 665 articles are written per death in a Western strike, but just 60 if it happened elsewhere? I didn't. Newspaper covers give victim profiles from the incidents deemed most significant. A gesture extended even to the Western killers. Here's Stephen Paddock's music choice, Dylan Roof's softer side, and though we don't condone them, we don't quite other them. We keep them apart from the rage we call terror, where we can shout ISIS, Muslim, ISIS, forget about the gun laws and rise of male supremacists, cause shh, no one likes a high and mighty moralist. Just give us our buzzword, our latest trend, our greatest craze. Justify our fear with a like on our status, pat us on the back for political au fait. Stay present in our wariness, for when we place the blame elsewhere, it helps us to feel safe. That was a bit full on. I think I was maybe wrong from choosing to move on from the ease of hipsterdom. Life has got heavy. This obsessive animosity, a far cry from the lifestyle I led weeks earlier, when the worst thing to fear was my level of sunburn, and now the fervour is glaring. And really all I want is to pull down the blindfold, opt out from the crowd, keep myself solo, focus on myself and my life and my goals, but there is no chance when the spotlight is on how we each respond to political trends. Like, is it safe to go on holiday? And isn't Europe in a state? And maybe today's the day we reconsider immigration, and my God, the families of those Manchester children. And amidst it all, I'm feeling kind of lost, confused. confused by the misplaced anger and displaced response, the inconsistency enough for me to know to dodge this bandwagon of, well, subjective compassion. Even that, not entirely true. Because when my brothers called me from Berlin to say a truck had driven into the Christmas festivities they were attending, I was paralysed. I was absolutely terrified. I watched my Facebook timeline change before my eyes to flags, emojis, and hashtag Berlin, the world already in mourning for the city my brothers were still in. So I tuned into the live streams. Oh, I followed every step of the unfolding action that said 8:30 p.m. German media have reported that the driver is on the run. 8:37 p.m. In a tweet in German, Berlin police have confirmed that 9 people have been killed and many more injured. 8:42 p.m. Police also asked the people stay indoors and do not spread rumours. The death toll was rising. Social media was rioting. And despite my previous scorn, I entirely endorsed it. Because I imagined my brother's statistics with rational thought distant. I was full of hatred for whoever it was did this. But they were safe. They were safe. They came home, and in time I was able to, well, sit back and reflect. Comprehend the experiences they brush with disaster we each meet so frequently, unknowingly. Like the speeding car, the faulty appliance, the drunk man looking for violence. Hindsight mindset quieted, righted perspective. After all, in the UK, your chance of being killed in a terror incident sits at around 1 in 2.2 million. With the US, a hefty 1 in 5 million. No, theirs was just bad luck, met by protective sibling love. Still, I find myself questioning the extremity of responses from those who had no connection to the action. Those so quick to post a status, write a tweet. Profiles dripping in hashtags, photos painted in slapdash German flag brightness, symbolic of what? Offers of support? Declaring solidarity? Because to me something's hazy. When global tragedies have happened daily for centuries, why this sudden attention? Why this assumption of blanket emotional grieving bereft of nuance through labelled reference to the Muslims, the terrorists, ISIS, the West, as though there must be a culprit whatever the cost? The individual lost in this quest for binary justice, the crux in us claiming a nation as our own to mourn for no apparent reason. Makes me wonder whether our hashtag prayers are saying we stand with you or we stand against them. Makes me wonder who counts as you and who counts as them. My friend, Nicholas, died in Somalia. When I met him, we were both living in Gran Canaria, but these matching necklaces thought we were clever. I told him at the time he reminded me of my brother, both fiercely determined, destined to be doctors. He looked at me and said, "Is that right?" He said, "In that case, your brother must be smart, funny, and handsome too then." I laughed and said yes. The bomb was so strong that most victims could not be identified. It actually took me 5 weeks to learn of his fate. Every day, I saw papers detail the events of the shooting in Vegas. 58 victims described and mourned, yet just 2 weeks later, over 300 Somalians ignored. I learned more news of strangers and the boy I'd learned to surf with as though covering his life had not been deemed worth it. I looked at Nicholas and saw my brother. Others looked at him, saw the third world urchins the BBC leak through comic relief sob reels. We are taught they're used to extremities, so we could not assimilate. Nicholas was too much other, so he mustn't have suffered. He was too much other. But remember, different, it sells. Different is sexy, different is celebrated, different is business. Other is not. You could say other is the flip side of different. Like where different is quirky, other is irregular. Where different is novel, other is undesired. Where different is thrilling, other is threatening. Where different is us, other is them. Other emerged surreptitiously. One minute there was natural difference, now active disinterest, it all happened so quick. Other is a thing undefinable. It's kind of confusing. It can't quite put my finger on it, but I don't quite like it. Other is unknown. Other is maybe not to be trusted. Of course, it could be that other is media constructed. Is government funded. Might just be a scapegoat to accommodate blame shifts, but in this day and age, who's taking chances? So let's have other all-encompassing. For the sake of convenience, for the sake of safety, other just wants to make sure. So other becomes any other. Becomes refugee, immigrant, migrant, asylum seeker, Eastern foreigner. Other becomes colour, other becomes darker, other becomes definite terrorist. Other spreads and it shrinks, is all and is local. Other becomes that homeless fellow, that big issue seller, that shopkeeper who's lived and worked here 40 years, but you have never looked at him as you're looking at him now. And with all that's going on, I'd say you can't be too careful. Where different is quirky, other is irregular. Where different is novel, other is undesired. Where different is thrilling, other is threatening. Where different is us, other is them. Oh, I look back and cringe at the way I exploited my difference. Seems we've turned a careful bunch, haven't we? So much so that one would believe with this fear of the other permeating our lives, we would turn insular. Would not add kindle to what's keeping us insecure. We would not risk all that lies out there. We'd reject the foreign. Stay with the familiar. Right? No, not entirely true. £20 Ryanair return to Lanzarote. Gap year spent getting smashed with Aussies. Head duties, anti-tattoo in Sanskrit. White person dreads because Shakira rocked it. But we want to preserve our Britishness. Pakistani salons because their brows are on fleek. £10 on halloumi because the best food is Greek. 3 a.m. curries, Taj Mahal selfies, but we will not let them come into our country. Do you see the irony? That we embrace the conveyor belt of foreign experience, yet maintain the illusion we're somehow exempt from the rules and restrictions we impose on others. When it comes to us, the options are limitless. With globe-trotting impetus, we form us a pick and mix of gap years, Hindu, sabbaticals, Erasmuses, Westerners. Borders don't seem to exist for us. We're expats, not immigrants. Migrate in our millions, yet Britain held only a trainload of Syrians. Do you see the irony? I was applauded for making my living performing on foreign streets. I was interviewed by EasyJet, praised for my initiative. Yet what I really did was compete with local artists, take the lion's share of it and feel that I deserved it because I was different. Do you see the irony of my indulgence in gluttonous exile? Meanwhile, thousands upon thousands are ousted from their homelands just to be called intruder, with refuge refused by those with the power to help them. Do you see the irony? that we worry one dangerous person will come. So we deny their entire nation. Yet our troops invade them with our weapons, agendas and alleged protection, and we still expect our vacations. Do you see the irony? Do you see the irony? Because I did not see the irony. Or more likely I ignored the irony. Oh, how our lives speak of privilege. Seems we have not been taught limits when it comes to ownership. We know only to take, we do not think to give. Because we can work anywhere. As barman, au pair, tour guide, teacher, yet in unfamiliar accent sees us question their place here. How empathy deficient. What obstinate vision. If we go abroad to get wasted, why can't people come here for safety? The flaws on display are outrageous. I'd say we close our own eyes, maybe tie our own blindfolds. We choose to back down, to opt out, and for what? Doran's son is so young that he actually doesn't remember life in Syria. Now to him, home is Glasgow. He doesn't recall his dad as a lawyer, dressed in suits. Instead, he knows only his new red big issue vest, which he will wear whenever he gets the chance. Doran's son loves Celtic. Asked his dad for a strip so he could play games with the boys at school. Now, Doran does not have much money, but he saved every penny to purchase the shirt so his kids could fit in. Now Doran was walking back from town when a man saw him carrying the bag from the Celtic store. He pushed Doran to the side of the road, told him not to steal our culture, and in broad daylight beat him until his point had been made. Nobody stopped to help. And people make Glasgow, do they? Doran was angrier at himself for getting blood on the shirt and having to miss a week of work than he was at the man who attacked him. See, Doran has been told that he should be grateful for his place here, whatever the cost. I think we close our own eyes, tie our own blindfolds, choose to back down, to opt out, and for what? Guess we must all be cold-hearted, compassionless robots. I must be a cold-hearted, compassionless robot. Ross, think I'm a cold-hearted, compassionless robot? Thanks. Because it may not be entirely true. As humans, our very nature sees us programmed to nurture, to search for solution, to offer protection wherever we can and is relevant, yet I have seen the best minds of my generation look inwards, not outwards, when faced with the option to help. So what's stopping us? Because surely something must be stopping us. Then it dawns that perhaps our flaw is not our kindness or lack thereof, but our mindless absorbing acceptance with that which we see, which we hear, which we read, our glue our eyes to every screen, bow to social media preaching, take the news as gospel way of being. Our placid surrender to the sedative of the incessant, detestable cesspool that presents mere fragments of the larger truth. To have us generalise, to see us subjectively cry, to encourage that we pick and choose, to tell us there's nothing we can do to stop any of it. And we trust implicitly implicitly in all that this media utters, even when it is not entirely true. So, when the media says, let's just present some facts, we think, yeah, that is entirely true. When the media fearmongers with its quick news, bad guys and big headlines, we think that's entirely true. When the media focuses on terror, terror, terror to distract from our leaders' own behaviour, we think that's entirely true. When the media tells us they are impenetrable, better to fight the underdog instead, we think, yeah, that's entirely true. Then when the media sees that we do need someone to blame and they give us a scapegoat, we think that's entirely true, because if we don't blame them, then who? When the media knows if they oversaturate us with their stories, their horror, their language, we will surrender to distraction and forget what's even true. And instead, the media assures that if you put a hashtag on it, you've done your bit, it'll all be okay, and that is not remotely true. But we do it. Why do we do it? Is it indicative of the millennial condition that sees life confined to online significance, or is it worse? Are we callously surface flimsy beings abandoning action by a hashtag hypocrisy, or is the truth that in this oversaturated world, the chance to package our sentiment into a hashtag market is done allows us to feel we've contributed something to a world that makes us feel utterly helpless? Again, got a bit much, didn't it? Almost lost sight of it all for a minute there. I think it's best we turn it down for a bit, and I think that's okay. Feed the birds in Queen's Park every morning. I always like to chat with them. We share travel stories. One day I saw that Amal was crying. An ISIS attack had left people dead. London Bridge. And she was afraid of how she would be seen. An incident 400 miles away. An incident of no relation to her left her afraid of how she would be seen. Helen put her arm around Amal. It's okay, she said. Right now there's just us, and I see you for you. I see you. Okay? Said Helen. Okay, said Amal. It's okay. To feel completely overwhelmed. It's okay to feel everything sometimes and nothing at others. It's okay to want to hide from it all one day until the next, when guilt grips and you scream, "Not in my name," and the conflict rips at you. It's okay to want to hide from the news, want to climb into bed, want to drink, to run, to close your eyes, to feel like a tiny speck of nothing, because you're made to feel like a tiny speck of nothing in the face of it all. It's okay. Because hey, what is people power if not the collective behaviour of 1,000 specks of nothing? You're doing okay. I'd say you're doing okay. All the same, stay mindful. In a world constructed primarily from innocence, retain perspective. In a world where you have been handed the platform of privilege, use it to reject the fallacies and retain perspective. In a world where Muslim civilians stood on streets blindfolded, arms outstretched to welcome, embrace or attack, while guilty of nothing, retain perspective. In a world where children were forced to create Not My Islam to protect their names, retain perspective. In a world where people are forced to our shores seeking a hand, not bringing hostility, retain perspective. In a world where the personal is political, it is inevitable that power lies in the individual, and when you've been born with more power than many, there must be no question that of influence, to see without blindfold hindrance. I mean, after all, the answer is quite simple. You see people as people. When you truly do so, there is no space for intimidation, ignorance, or prejudice. When you see people as people, return to the basics, lead with the basics. This new uncluttered vision will instigate change, and that is, well, entirely true. This was our very final night of #Hypocrisy, and it's been great. So thank you so much for being here, for closing the show with us. Huge thank you to Ross Somerville, my wonderful accompanist. He was excellent. All our information should be on the slides if you want to follow our work and #Hypocrisy further. We've got poetry pamphlets on sale downstairs. If you'd like to get one on your way out, they're just £4. I think that's everything.
That's everything.
Thank you so much for coming. Have a great day.